Good afternoon, all you beautiful mother truckers out there. Can I get a hi out? That's how we get this show started. Guys, jurors on Donald Trump's case are falling faster than Joe Biden riding a bicycle. It is absolutely insane. And the school system here in America, guys, is crazy. Homeschool your kids because furries are taking over. There is kitty litter in the bathrooms. We're going to discuss all of it. But first, I want to ask you guys, please like, comment, follow, subscribe, smash that like button. This is the update my girlfriend didn't want. This is the podcast my girlfriend didn't want me to have. This is another white boy with a mic. This is the update you didn't ask for. Guys, this is pretty unbelievable. Donald Trump has a jury that they have to select and gather to have him go over his Donald Trump Stormy Daniels $130,000 hush payment trial, and they cannot find people. It's pretty much what everybody predicted. How can you get a fair trial in New York City, a state where pretty much everybody hates you? People are lying to stay on the juror panel, and then Trump's lawyers are discovering that they're posting crazy things online, and they're being asked to be excused. They're asking the jurors to be excused. I just did jury duty this week, actually. On Tuesday, I couldn't shoot a show because I was at the LA courthouse doing my due diligence and attending a trial. I was not picked in the jury selection, but I'm very familiar with the process considering I was just there. And it was pretty cool. We all went down there. We sat in a room for about an hour. Then they ushered us out into another room, called us into the main courtroom, went briefly over the trial. It was a landlord and tenant dispute, and then they started asking us questions about landlords and tenants. First, they asked us, what is your name? What is your occupation? Who do you live with? What's their occupation? And do you have any biases towards tenants and or landlords? And there were several other questions they asked. I did have a little bit of bias because I do think LA laws prevent landlords from evicting tenants that should be evicted. It protects the tenants. In fact, in New York City, you guys already know, there are people squatting in properties for just a couple days. And then the owners, for some reason, stumbles upon it as they're trying to sell their home. And all of a sudden, it becomes a landlord-tenant dispute when there was no landlord to begin with. They were trying to sell their home. So people are actually stealing property. And there are people on TikTok and Instagram and social media sites that are advocating that people do this. Scary stuff. That being said, it actually came down to me and two other people. We were going to be alternates for the jury, and the lawyers kind of get together. They push their heads together, and then they turn around, and they got to select two of us, 2 out of 3, and they go, we don't want juror number 29. That was me. I got dismissed. I got to go. And, it sucks because I did want to serve for jury duty. That's something I want to do. I think it's a great way to give back to your country. But I'm not going to miss it. It's time I get to be here with you instead, It's time that I don't have to dedicate to something else, to sit on a trial that, personally, I would like a bigger trial. Sitting on Donald Trump's trial would be incredible. And that's why everybody's fighting for it. People are literally lying to stay on it. But I want to briefly go over real quick the timeline, the Donald Trump, Stormy Daniels, and the $130,000 payment to buy her silence. I just want to go over it. We're going to skip down to the bottom here, just so you guys can get a little bit of a grasp of what's going on in the actual trial. First, I want to emphasize that Stormy Daniels had somebody approach her after her and Donald Trump had met several times. Donald Trump tried to get her on The Apprentice, and she wasn't asked to be on the show, but apparently Daniels gave an interview to the magazine In Touch describing her encounters with Trump in exchange for $15,000. 2 employees later tell CBS News that the interview never ran because Michael Cohen, Trump's attorney, threatened to sue when the publication asked Trump for comment. Daniels says she was never paid. A few weeks later, Daniels says she is threatened by a man who approaches her in Las Vegas and tells her to leave Trump alone and forget the story. She did not say this man was Michael Cohen. She didn't say who this is. They just said, leave Trump alone. Could this be Michael Cohen hiring somebody to go tell her and threaten her? Possibly. Who says it's Donald Trump? The man was just speaking for Donald Trump, didn't say it was coming down from Trump. So then we fast forward to everything else that's going on. I had it highlighted and now it's disappeared. Great. I think it started here 2016. Let's do. It was after McDougal. Okay, so Donald Trump also has a woman named McDougal that claimed that he gave her hush money. Anyways, this is August and September, a little bit after. Cohen reaches an agreement with David Pecker, the chairman and CEO of the National Enquirer's parent company, American Media Inc., to secure the non-disclosure portion of the company's deal with McDougal for $125,000. That's not where I want to start. October 8th, Daniels is now also represented by Davidson, who tells Dylan Howard, the editor-in-chief of the National Enquirer, that she is willing to go on record about her alleged affair. Howard and Pecker informed Cohen about the conversation and put Cohen in touch with Davidson. Cohen negotiates a deal to pay Daniels $130,000 in exchange for the rights to her story and a non-disclosure agreement. Trump did not negotiate the deal. Cohen files paperwork to incorporate a firm known as Essential Consultants LLC in Delaware. No deal with Daniels has been finalized, and Davidson tells Cohen, Howard, and Pecker that his client is close to reaching an agreement with another outlet to tell her story. Cohen agrees to finalize the deal. Cohen opens a bank account for Essential Consultants and transfers $131,000 he obtained by taking out a home equity line of credit into the new account. So this guy opened a separate business, took out a home equity line of credit, and then paid her with it. Cohen wires $130,000 to Davidson, Daniels' attorney. November 1st, Cohen receives signed copies of the agreement between Peggy Peterson and David Dennison. It is dated October 28th. A lot of people in big famous disputes and NDAs use fake names. Apparently, she was signing for Peterson and Trump was supposed to sign for Dennison, but Trump never signed it. This is starting to sound like me. It's a dispute between Cohen and Stormy Daniels. It doesn't really have anything to do with Trump. It actually all sounds like behind closed doors kind of thing. In an accompanying letter, Peterson is identified as a pseudonym for Daniels, and the identity of Dennison's redacted in later court filings, but Daniels' attorney later says the name was used by Trump. The agreement bears the signatures of Daniels, Davidson, and Cohen, but the signature for Dennison is blank. So he never signed it. So Trump never signed the document to this whole arrangement. Interesting. Did he know anything about it? That's what you have to ask yourself as a juror. Now, these jurors in New York, they're not going to be unbiased like that. They're going to assume that Trump didn't sign it because he didn't want to get in trouble. But who knows? He didn't sign it. There's no proof. The Wall Street Journal publishes a report detailing the $150,000 between McDougal and AMI. A Trump campaign spokesman calls McDougal claims of an affair totally untrue, yada, yada, yada. Okay. In 2017, Cohen seeked reimbursement from the Trump Organization for $180,000 to $130,000 for the payment to Daniels. That's weird. Plus a wiring fee for the extra $50,000. Trump Organization executives double the reimbursement to $360,000 and add another $60,000 for a total of $420,000 to be paid monthly installments for 12 months. Cohen sends invoices for $35,000 per month and receives $420,000 from the company over the course of the year. Now my question is, I want to see copies of those invoices. If those invoices specifically had something written onto it, the effect of like hush money towards Stormy Daniels, of course they're not going to, because they want to hide that. But that is the evidence you would need to see to be actually convict Donald Trump, saying he had known that there was hush money paid in order to shut somebody up. But lawyers work for big people like Trump all the time and huge organizations all the time. In fact, the Trump Organization probably has tons of lawyers and distribute little bits of things to each one so they can get all the work done. Trump may not have known that this was hush money at all. Just decided that, okay, if we're going to pay this guy $420,000, do me a favor, break it up over 12 months. And that works out to $35,000 per month to pay back this guy for services rendered as a lawyer, right? So Trump is sworn as the 45th president, and then everything hits the fan. The Wall Street Journal publishes this article detailing the $130,000 payment to Daniels, the first public acknowledgement of the scheme. Cohen says Trump vehemently denies having an affair, but does not address the payment. Cohen also sends a statement he claims is from Stormy Daniels, saying the stories of an affair are false. And I want to show you that right now. Because Stormy Daniels was also charged and has to pay Trump money for defamation. She lost. She owes him several $1,000s. But this is the letter that was sent. And this letter's kind of funny, guys. But apparently this came out on Jimmy Kimmel's show, our favorite nighttime host. Yeah, right. Jimmy Kimmel says, did you sign this letter and was it released today? She goes, doesn't look like my signature, does it? Because Jimmy Kimmel has tons of her merch that knows exactly what her signature looks like, right? And Jimmy Kimmel goes, do you know where it came from? Do you have any idea? She goes, I do not. Here's the letter. This is great, guys. the official statement of Stormy Daniels. Now, I'm going to be frank. That signature does have some relation to her other signatures. And I'm going to show you those in a second. They actually use the Stephanie Clifford signature to try to prove that it's not, because Stormy Daniels' original name is Stephanie Clifford. So she signed, this is actually a copy of the NDA where Trump was supposed to sign under David Dennison and didn't. But she went under the surname of Peggy Peterson and then signed it Stephanie Clifford. How dumb is that? Why would you sign it with your original name if you're going under some sort of fake name? I don't know. AKA Stephanie Gregory Clifford. Okay, Stormy Daniels. Why would you even have that list? Anyway, she signs it Stephanie Clifford, and they go, that's not her signature. That's her signature. Oh, really? Let me just show you a couple more of her signatures. This Love Always, Stormy Daniels. You see how there's the big S and the Y comes down to form the D? And then she usually takes the S and drags it over the D to try to start the D. And this is pretty... It's in a lot of her work here. It's very much the same. So that being said, what did I do here? Block this light. There it is. That being said, she's got tons of these, right? Stormy Daniels, big S, right around the D. Now let's go back to that Jimmy Kimmel signature. S. Now you see the Y comes down to form the D. They do a separate one, maybe because she couldn't bring that giant S over. I don't know if it's her signature. It's not 100% her signature, but she does have a lot of signatures like it. That being said, if you're an artist or you're good at faking signatures, this could very well be it. But I just want to take another look. So you see how she does Stormy Daniels? Even the T's topped. Oh, you can't really make out the rest, right? The T's topped, goes into the O, and then you can't really, it's not hard to make out the rest, but there's a significant Y that starts the D, and the D goes on. Let's see. Let's compare those S. That LS. LS is slightly off. L, the S is big again at the end. So you can clearly make out the S at the end, which you can in this signature. But it's the letter for me, guys. To whom it may concern, over the past few weeks, I have been asked countless times to comment on reports of an alleged sexual relationship I had with Donald Trump many years ago. And to me, when I see that, the many, I go, that's how Donald Trump talks. So I'm not going to say Donald Trump's guilty of forging this letter and making this letter, but that's hilarious. Maybe she adapted a little bit of his vernacular, but many years ago. Anyways, the fact of the matter is that each party's to this alleged affair denied its existence in 2006 to 2011, 2016, 2017, and now again in 2018. I am not denying this affair because I was paid hush money, as has been reported in overseas-owned tabloids. I'm denying this affair because it never happened. I will have no further comment on this matter. Please feel free to check me out on Instagram at the Stormy Daniels. I love how she just added her tag there in the end. If this story isn't to your likings, don't forget to follow me. I won't ever speak of it again. And then she goes on and she spoke of it all the time. She gets in multiple lawsuits against Donald Trump and is even willing to sue him now. Oh, it's fascinating. It really is fascinating, guys. I don't know. It's all about he said, she said, BS. You know what I mean? When it comes to these cases, it really is somebody's word over another person's. Who do you trust more? And that's the frustrating thing about it. The crazy thing about this case is they want to use Michael Cohen as a star witness, but Michael Cohen is an admitted liar. If you guys are paying attention to what I've shared at the top of the week, I showed an article where Michael Cohen admitted on the stand several years ago that he committed, he basically pled guilty to several charges. And then again in the stand last year says he never pled guilty. So he's he's an admitted liar. On the stand, they had to dismiss the case, come back after a recess where then he had his arguments all figured out, right? Not suspect at all. That being said, this isn't about the case today. This is about jury selection. And this jury selection is falling harder than Joe Biden up some stairs. Check this out. Apparently they went from 7 down to 5, and they're falling like flies. Here we go.
Happened again. Another juror has just been dismissed from former President Trump's hush money trial. Now remember, what we're talking about here are people who were seated on the jury already. And by the end of yesterday, there were 7, and now they are ticking away. Only 5 jurors remain of those original 7 who were already seated. Now they'll need 13 jurors before the case can move forward. We are going in the wrong direction in terms of seating. It's happened again.
I just realized you guys couldn't see her there at the end, so I exited out. So yeah, so they went from 7 to 5, and this is probably why. One of the jurors, a juror seated in Trump's trial, was dismissed after it was found out that he was arrested for engaging in political vandalism against the right and lied under oath in order to get Trump rigged trial. You and I know that Trump's probably not going to get a fair trial in New York when most people hate him. But when you go into jury duty, you have to raise your right hand and solemnly swear that you're going to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help you, Lord and Savior, the good almighty God, right? And if this person was lying about how they can have an unbiased decision, so basically they want to make sure that you're unbiased, neither here nor there. You're going to interpret the law to the fullest extent. Well, from the very beginning, this trial is complete bull crap. This would be a misdemeanor in any other normal case, but it's not because Donald Trump's name is on it. Hillary Clinton didn't get charged for all her crimes, and neither did Barack Obama or all the war crimes George Bush made. All of those people committed atrocities against other nations, but Donald Trump is the one that has to sit in New York City court about the way he filed his paperwork or campaign finance violation, which is usually a misdemeanor, but Alvin Bragg is trying to get him for a felony because he wants to attach other charges to it. While on top of it, the judge says Trump can't miss a single day or they will arrest him. Trump has multiple trials going on right now. One in D.C., which I think he should be president because it talks about his immunity, but they won't let him make that or Barron's graduation. Instead, they want him to sit here and rot while they try to figure out who's going to be on this jury selection. You know, I wonder if that's the play the whole time. Trump can't show up in another court case because 2 court cases are requiring him to be there at the same time. And they go, well, because you didn't show up in this court case, we're going to arrest you. Oh, but I was at my court case in New York where they said if I didn't show up, I was going to get arrested. Doesn't matter. Isn't that sounds like a pretty good play to me. I'm just spitballing here. Don't know if it's going to happen yet. But if it does, I'm going to go back and I'm going to key this clip. And we're going to make sure that that gets out because who knows? I could have just predicted the future. Don't call me a fortune teller or anything, but I may have just predicted the future. Anyways, I just want to go ahead and let you guys hear from the horse's mouth right here.
But this has to do with something that very well could have been.
And that's all I'm going to show you so Fox News doesn't tag my page, and I have to take this down with a copyright issue. Moving on. This is MSNBC. They are talking to a juror here. Colin Rugg is reporting. New dismissed Trump juror who just became a U.S. citizen targets Trump for his skin color. Says her biggest takeaway was the color of his skin. Remarkable. You know, he looked less orange, definitely more yellowish, like yellow. He looks bored. He wants this to be finished and go do his stuff. Of course, because Trump wants to be campaigning right now. Trump does not want to be locked up in a bunch of courtrooms. And this is exactly what the Democrats want. They don't want him campaigning. A lot of people are calling this election interference. I tend to agree. It's absolute election interference. You're trying to arrest the number one political candidate in the opposition party. Come on, bruh. That is absolutely election interference. But what's funny about this is this woman is a brand new American citizen, just got her citizenship. She gets called in to be on Donald Trump's jury. Isn't that nice? And the first thing she says when he leaves, oh, not that I can be impartial or unbiased. It's that, you know, he looked less orange. Definitely more yellowish than I would have imagined. I wonder why. Probably because she watches CNN and MSNBC that turn up the saturation and the color hues when they present pictures of Donald Trump to make him look more orange than he really is. Do you guys remember that famous picture of Joe Rogan when he caught COVID? CNN took his picture that he had posted, and then I forgot how they color corrected, but they like turned down all the hues and turned up the greens and made him look like an alien, like a gray-green alien, like he was deathly sick on his deathbed to persuade the viewers that Joe Rogan is deathly sick. This is what media companies do very often, is they will change the color and the hues and pick certain pictures to exemplify the story they're trying to tell. For example, when you get a mass shooter that's a black man or a gangster that's a black man that got killed by police and shouldn't have been, in their eyes, the story recently, right, where a black gentleman was mowed down by 96 bullets in a matter of seconds, that they don't tell you he fired rounds at the police officers. They did a picture of his graduation. Oh, he's just a good little black kid at a graduation that should have never gotten in any trouble. The police picked on the wrong kid. The kid had a gun in a car, got pulled over for his tints, fired at the police officers, where they then returned fire 96 times, killing the young man. And they want to paint him as a saint. So what they do with Trump is they turn up the saturation, they bring up all the reds, and they make you believe he's oranger than he looks. They make the makeup stick out. Now, does Trump wear makeup? Absolutely. I mean, he's old as dog shit. I would too, you know. But yeah, that's the problem, is they are manipulating you into thinking certain things. So I thought this was very interesting when she comes out and goes, you know, he looked less orange. Maybe turn off the TV, love. Maybe turn on independent journalists like Tim Pool, Steven Crowder, Kyle Kalinske. I don't care if it's left or right. Turn on somebody that won't lie to you. I disagree with a lot of what Kyle has to say, but I think he's honest to a point. That guy David Pock, I think his name was, just on the Iced Coffee podcast. That dude's a POS. I wouldn't listen to him. But listen to me, guys. This is the second time I'll say it. Hit that like button, smash subscribe, leave a comment. I would really appreciate it. I won't lie to you. I'm an idiot. I get things wrong all the time. Please correct me in the comments if I do. I think yesterday in a podcast I said they speak Israel, but you don't speak Israel in Israel. You speak Hebrew. It's a Jewish nation. And common mistake, right? And he corrected me, and I said thank you. I won't lie to you. They will. And they'll do it over and over again until you have an image in your mind that is completely fabricated from reality. They will tell you men can get pregnant and women can be men and men can be women, and it's all fair, and sex changes and wars, and I don't know. I'm losing it. But I thought this was interesting. Then this was another one. This is one of the prospective jurors who assured us she could be unbiased in the Trump trial, admitting to lying under oath on camera, facing zero legal repercussions. Now, Dinesh D'Souza, I like what you got to say 99% of the time, but I just want to say that maybe she felt that she could be unbiased. I don't know if she lied under oath. I know you do have to take an oath when you're going in. But it doesn't mean she lied. It doesn't mean that she was, lying. Anyways, this is one of the prospective jurors who assured us she could be unbiased in the trial, admitting to lying under oath on camera, facing zero legal repercussions. Yeah. When you get sworn in as a juror, you say, hey, I will do my best to be unbiased. Then the the lawyers, get to discuss who they want on the juror in their jury. Sorry, I'm losing it now. And so you basically, then they ask you a series of questions, and there's no proof that she lied unless you can get the video of her in the courtroom lying about her feelings towards Donald Trump. But if she does admit that she has these feelings towards Donald Trump, but she can be impartial and unbiased, the lawyers have the choice to choose her or not. But let's hear it from the horse's mouth itself. Here you go.
Can you share your opinion of the former president and why you felt that you could be unbiased?
I'm not a fan. During COVID-19, I lived with someone who was immunocompromised, and I think.
So right off the back, she says she's not a fan. That's okay. You're allowed to say that. Now, if she had said in the courtroom, no, I think Trump's fine. I will be impartial and unbiased. That's different. Then she did lie, and maybe you could get her on perjury. But she simply is saying here she's not a fan. She could have said that in court.
His handling of COVID-19 was abysmal.
It's really low. Maybe I'll repeat it. She said his handling of COVID-19 was abysmal. She could have said that also in the room. And this would actually lead the discussion between the lawyers. Like, listen, I don't think she's the best candidate because she doesn't like Trump or says that his handling of COVID was abysmal. And then they have the choice to dismiss her or keep her.
I have a sister who's adopted from China.
She has somebody that's adopted from China?
Abysmal. I have a sister who is adopted from China,
She has a sister that was adopted from China.
and the comments he made about China when he was running for president made her very anxious, and therefore made me angry.
Okay, so then Donald Trump's comments, like, it comes from China. Yeah, it comes from China. Because that's where it comes from. Apparently, those comments made her sister uncomfortable, which then made her uncomfortable. Sorry, not sorry, Boo.
There are policies he has supported that regard women and reproductive health that I do not agree with.
Okay, and then she goes on to say, like, she loves murdering babies.
And I think all of that needs to be addressed.
Can you share your
Okay.
opinion?
Yeah, I mean, all of that does need to be addressed. Not in the courtroom. You can address that with your friends and your Chinese sister. I mean, you can address that there. You don't have to address it in court. So this would be a great reason why she wouldn't be a prospective juror. Seems like she does have bias that she can't get over, and she's still angry about. And the reasons being is because the way he handled COVID was abysmal. I think that all depended on what state you're in. And she's in New York, so the way they handled COVID was abysmal. And then she didn't like his comments about China and other things. So that's when the lawyers get together and say, we're going to go with the next jurors. The next juror comes up out of the row and takes the seat that she just got up out of. So I also wanted to show you guys this juror from the selection, I think last year. So this was in the Georgia trial. This girl was excited to possibly swear Trump in. I'm going to have you guys listen to it. It's hilarious. I just thought I'd bring it back up because this girl sounds crazy.
Personally want to hear from the former president. I wanted to hear from the former president, but honestly, I kind of wanted to subpoena the former president because I got to swear everybody in. And so I thought it'd be really cool to get 60 seconds with President Trump of me looking at him and being like, do you solemnly swear? And me getting to swear him in. I kind of just thought that would be an awesome moment. Personally.
I think she's kind of funny. I mean, I don't know what you guys think, but yeah, these are the kind of jurors that Trump is going to get on trial. It's hard to select a jury with somebody as famous as Donald Trump and somebody as political as Donald Trump. If you are in a right-wing state, you're not going to get a fair trial because everybody loves Donald Trump. If you're in a left-wing state, you're not going to get a fair trial because everybody hates Donald Trump. So the thing is when you can't have a fair trial, you have to dismiss it as a mistrial. They're not going to do that because they want him behind bars. Why? Because Trump isn't for wars. Trump is for America, and the global elite and the corporatocracies that exist in this world don't want America to be an individual country anymore. They want us to lead in to be the leaders of global communism that NATO, the WHO, the WEF are all trying to orchestrate together. So that's why he won't get a fair trial. That's my segment on Donald Trump and the jurors. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I am going to now move on to the next segment,